They thought it was just a cargo ship. Slow, unguarded, and easy to take. Two small boats packed with armed Somali pirates are speeding through the waves going full throttle. The engines roar as they cross the dark waters of the Gulf of Aden. In the distance, their target is a giant shadow. No flag, no lights, all steel and silence. For the pirates, that means only one thing: a cargo ship with no escort. But they were wrong, because in less than 90 seconds, that shadow changed and revealed its true form. A floating war fortress? Not just a US Navy ship, but a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. The kind that can launch fighter jets before breakfast and has more firepower than most countries in the world. The pirates have AK-47s and RPGs. The carrier has 5,000 sailors, CIWS cannons, radar-guided missiles, and zero patience for any nonsense. That's right, radar-guided missiles and zero patience for you. And what happened next? This wasn't a stunt standoff, nor was it a fight. This was a lesson that started with a warning and ended with the pirates lying face down on top of the rigid hull inflatable boat, or RHIB, with weapons pointed at them. This is what happens when you target the wrong ship, and this is what happens when you try to attack a US Navy aircraft carrier. What could they have been thinking of the pirates? Why did they think of attacking an aircraft carrier? That's what we're going to answer. But before we start, if you're new to our channel, please don't forget to subscribe so you'll always be updated with videos like this. On the first sweep, the radar was the first to spot them. Two quick blips, low signature, no AIS signal, approaching very fast. Inside the Combat Information Center of the USS Dwight Eisenhower, the system suddenly went on alert. The operator immediately called out, "Contact, two small boats approaching, 085, closing." In the Red Sea, that can only mean one thing: trouble at sea. The officer on duty didn't need a second opinion. He leaned into the comms, and he said, "Bridge, CIC, notify the flight deck and launch the Seahawk now." Outside, the whole carrier was coming alive. This isn't an ordinary convoy, it's a full strike group, and the carrier serves as its brain. In just 2 minutes, a Seahawk spun its rotors and shot off from the deck, fully equipped with a door gunner and advanced radar, capable of spotting a tattoo even from 5,000 feet away. It headed straight toward the incoming threat. Meanwhile, on the flight deck, not a single second was wasted. The one in the yellow shirt cleared the space. The one in red checked the weapon load, and the one in green gave the signal for another helicopter on standby. In the CIC, another alert. The attackers are splitting up. One is moving away and one is going straight ahead. And this is exactly the tactic the pirates are using: divide and confuse. But the captain's orders are really simple. Just maintain course and let them commit. In the air, the Seahawk already has visual contact, and the pilot immediately called it in. And according to this hostile posture, I'll repeat, weapons are visible. That's what the Navy needs, because in other pirate encounters, sometimes there's still the benefit of the doubt. But this one, it already crossed the line. The second Seahawk was launched immediately. On the nearby destroyer, the USS Gravely, the RHIB and BBSS team are starting to gear up. On the carrier's deck, the Seahawk is already on standby. Sea Whiz, quiet but ready to make noise when needed. The whole ship is calm but laser-focused. And remember, for a US aircraft carrier, making a mistake is not just against protocol, it's a liability. And the pirates, they have no idea what kind of beast they're up against. For them, it's just a ship. Big, yes, but still just a ship. For the Navy, there are two threats quickly approaching, and the entire strike group is already moving. The pirates don't know it yet, but the warning shot is already locked and loaded, just waiting for the order. The skiff on the right, or those small boats, they're still coming. No slowing down, no turning, all confidence, or to put it better, something unusual. When they reached 800 yards, the Seahawk lowered its altitude, the door gunner leaned out, swung the M. 240 got into position and aimed. They weren't attacking yet, no bullets fired, just posturing. The kind that doesn't need to be said. The message was clear: you entered the wrong place. However, the pirates weren't even scared. Another one of them even stood up, holding something long and shiny on his shoulder, an RPG. And that's it, hostile confirmed. The Seahawk radioed in, weapon in hand, continuing the intercept. On the Eisenhower, the captain didn't even flinch. From the port side of the destroyer, two 11-meter RHIBs sped into the water, loaded with a BBSS team, wearing body armor, armed with pulse and flashbangs. These aren't diplomats. They're the SWAT of the sea. They have a license to strike fast and hard. There's no need for the carrier to open fire. The entire task force is already there for that. But if the situation escalates, the CIWS turret is ready, humming quietly, its radar locked on the skiff, like a hawk eyeing a mouse in the middle of a field. Meanwhile, the USS Gravely moved into a flanking position, and it was like watching a chess match at 35 knots. The skiff was still being cornered by two warships and a helicopter. This wasn't strategy, it was death waiting. In the air, the gunner of Sea Oak gave a final visual warning. He fired a burst into the water, right in front of the pirate boat. A clear message: turn back or you'll be sunk. And only then did the pirates move. But it was too late, because the RHIB was already approaching, like a scalpel blade cutting through the waves. The first BBSS team boxed in the skiff from the starboard side. The second team blocked any possible escape route from behind. Through the loudspeakers, they shouted, "Drop your weapons, hands up right now." Chaos broke out, and one pirate immediately threw his AK-47 into the sea. Another one froze in fear, and he made a smart choice. As for the others, let's just say the Navy doesn't wait for team consensus. And within 30 seconds, everything was over. The weapons were seized, the pirates were zip-tied, and they were lying on the deck of the RHIB. The skiff was secured, the area was secured, and the Eisenhower didn't even slow down. Because the aircraft carrier doesn't need to personally handle every threat. They have an entourage with them, one that packs a stronger punch. And that's when the pirates realized the truth. They didn't just pick the wrong ship, they picked the wrong ocean. But the Navy wasn't done yet. The pirates were zip-tied, disarmed, and bowed down, staring at the soldiers' combat boots. But the process is far from over. Because when you try to attack a U.S. aircraft carrier, even if your plan is worthless, they don't just secure you, they investigate you, document everything, and send a message. Because tomorrow, they might not just be facing simple pirates anymore. There could be someone with night vision, SATCOM, or more advanced weapons. So while the BBSS team is luring the suspects toward the USS Gravely, there's a second Seahawk helo on the perimeter, not just to stand guard. They're looking for thermal signatures, hull markings, and any signs that the skiff might be carrying high-tech equipment. Like a GPS module, a satellite phone, encrypted radios, any indication that they're not just some random group looking for money. And yes, it looks like they're not just a simple amateur crew. Back at Eisenhower, it's business as usual. This hasn't gone beyond firm permission yet, and flight ops haven't been disrupted either. This is happening the whole time, and the catapults are still launching FA-18 Super Hornets. The flight deck crew didn't even flinch. And if you didn't look at the radar logs, you wouldn't know that an intercept had happened. That's what's unique about the carrier. They're unshakable. While the pirates travel using old sputtering engines and RPGs, the U.S. Navy operates 100,000-ton nuclear-powered fortresses that can launch a fighter jet every 30 seconds and provide security over half the globe. And here's another thing. The second skiff, the one that ran away early, didn't escape either. It was picked up by a drone ping about 6 nautical miles from the carrier, stopped next to a fishing vessel that was way too clean to be a real fishing boat. Within minutes, the RHIB team from the USS Mason, another destroyer in the strike group, launched an assault. And the result? 2 pirates arrested, 1 laptop seized, and a ton of questions to answer in a classified, tense debriefing. The simple intercept suddenly became more complicated. And it's likely that there's an even bigger operation behind this. And what's even stranger, the original group of pirates still thought they intercepted a cargo ship. Until a Marine leaned in and said, "Do you know that you approached an aircraft carrier?" They just stayed quiet. Then, one pirate suddenly whispered, "There's no official translation, but if we guess, it probably meant a big mistake." So, to make it clear for everyone, for those still wondering why an aircraft carrier is the worst target you could think of, here's the answer. This is why you shouldn't even try, not even in your dreams. Attacking a U.S. aircraft carrier is like bringing a butter knife to a tank fight, but think about it. The tank is floating, launching fighter jets, and even has its own zip code. The pirates thought they were chasing a lonely cargo ship, But what they found was the most protected ships sailing the seas. And if you think you can just take on an aircraft carrier, then you're mistaken. First of all, an aircraft carrier is never alone. Not ever. When you approach the flat deck, you're approaching the Carrier Strike Group, a tight formation of destroyers, cruisers, submarines, supply ships, helicopters, drones, and a sky full of fighter jets. It's like a floating war city with a policy that there are no stupid questions. Let's take the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower as an example, for instance. It's nuclear-powered, over 1,000 feet long, has almost 5,000 crew members, and can launch an armed F-18 every 25 seconds. And that's just what you see on the surface. Inside, there's a hangar bay, maintenance shop, weapons depot, radar control room, intel centers, and yes, it even has its own internal police force. Every inch of the ship is guarded, locked, and secured. In the armory, there's a CIWS, or CIWS, that fires 4,500 rounds per minute. Just imagine, a laser-guided meat grinder that doesn't ask for permission. There's also the ESSM, Evolved Sea Sparrow Missile, for aircraft, missiles, and pretty much everything else. Fast, precise, and really powerful. And that's not even counting the E-2D Hawk and the EA-18G Growlers for jamming. The E-2D Hawk can see even farther than what other countries are capable of. In other words, you can't get close to the carrier, you can't surprise it, you'll be the one surprised. You'll be flagged, tracked, locked, and lit up before you even get your engines to full power. And here's the most impressive part. They haven't even used 10% of their capabilities yet. They can launch a drone, fire warning flares, scramble a jet, deploy Marines, or authorize lethal force within seconds. But they don't need to, since the threat is much lower than their response capability. A carrier strike group can control an airspace as large as Texas. That means from hundreds of miles away, they already know who you are, where you're going, and what you're carrying. If they let you get closer because they just want to see what you'll do, and if you do anything even slightly hostile, the game is over. So yes, attempting to pirate a US aircraft carrier isn't just reckless. It's like facing an entire football team while you're only holding a Nerf gun. And remember, the Navy isn't done yet because every piece of equipment, every signal, every tiny detail, that's intel gold. Neutralizing the enemy is just step one. Step two is making use of every mistake they've made. While the pirates are already handcuffed and quietly thinking about where they went wrong in life inside a steel room below deck, the Navy's intel teams are already busy analyzing everything that happened. Our RPG launcher was placed in an evidence bag, scanned, and traced to find out where it came from. The broken cell phone was opened, dismantled, and thoroughly examined using a secure signal analyzer. All the coordinates that SEOC got were mapped and compared to smuggling routes, the movement of Iranian weapon flow, and the activities of pirate cells from Mogadishu to Mukalla. Because the Navy doesn't just fight pirates, they study each one. And that skiff they caught seemed like it was floating with intel at the airport. At the command center of the USS Eisenhower, analysts thoroughly examined everything: thermal footage, radio intercepts, power signatures, and the materials of the hull. Even the free walk-in samples were taken. But there was one unusual frequency that caught their attention. It matched the chatter that was previously intercepted, near an illegal arms shipment in Eritrea. And bingo, this was no longer just a simple pirate raid. This was part of a bigger network. And that means it wouldn't just end with a simple after-action report. Next up was a real-time targeting package. In less than 12 hours, the information had already flown up the entire chain of command. CENTCOM, AFRICOM, allied countries, and the Intelligence Fusion Center in Bahrain and Djibouti. The system moved quickly because the next attack might not just involve RPGs. It could be drones, it could be smuggled manpads, or worse, pirates being used just as bait for a much deeper threat. That's the mindset for every small encounter, whether it's a probing action, a test, a distraction, or the start of something bigger. They're not just swatting flies, they're mapping out the entire swarm. And for those pirates, they're just the first to surface. The real blow is already approaching under the radar. The intel team is already gathering data, the drones are already adjusting the search grid, and the strike planners are already whispering the three scariest words in the entire US Navy, and that is target package confirmed. The sea is quiet again, but it won't last. The Navy is on watch, and now so is the whole world. When the sun rises, the sea is calm again, and the Eisenhower looks like nothing happened. Flight ops are back to normal, the coffee is ready, and planes are flying again. Just another day on the most powerful ship at sea. But beneath that calm, something has changed. What should have been a simple failed ambush became the reason for a massive intel sweep across the entire region. Satellites were repositioned, comms traffic was flagged, and even Allied ships in the corridor were immediately briefed. Because the warning wasn't just for the pirates. It was for anyone watching, planning, or thinking that a U.S. aircraft carrier is an easy target. It was a silent broadcast written with precision, speed, and a terrifying level of firepower. We saw you, we stopped you, we learned from you, and next time, you might not get a second chance. Behind the wake left by the skiff, the Navy's message spread throughout the region. The smuggler chatter died down. The usual radio bursts went silent. And for a few tense days, it was as if even the sea lane near Somalia held its breath. Because when the U.S. Navy responds, they don't give warnings, they make examples. If you were the carrier commander, what decision would you make? Would you take them alive or would you sink the skiff right away? Comment your answer below, we want to know. And if you like this breakdown, if you think it's wild, intense, or like a movie like this video, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you won't miss our next videos. Because in seas like these, you never know what will happen next.